What's up? What's up? So, my mission is to help 1 million people from my community get healthier. With that, I'm supposed to post, and I don't like to post. I'm just being honest. It's just, to me, it feels very time consuming because I like it to look a certain way, or just, I don't know. But anyway, so I'm trying to figure out, okay, what can I post without having to plan and do all these things that kind of take time from the things that I really want to focus on. So I decided to start with maybe the beginning, right? Because a lot of people don't know why they should listen to me, or why they should kind of take what I have to say into consideration, what makes me an authority in that space. So I think I'll start there. And I am going to attempt to be, just consistent with posting. I don't know the level of frequency that I'll do, but I can tell you that I think it'll start with a story. Because if I tell my story and I do it in bits and pieces so that it's not overwhelming, I'm not leaving big, lengthy, stories on my feed. I think that'll be better for me and for you guys, because it'll be easy for you all to kind of take in and to get interested, to want to come back and see where I left off. So let's start my story. So my healing journey actually began, unbeknownst to me, in 2006. It was a year that my father was diagnosed with stage 3B adenocarcinoma of the lung. So he had lung cancer. And that was the beginning of my research, because, he went into the hospital and, I just remember seeing him look so my father was Superman to me, and anyone who knew him could attest to this. He was Superman. He was, he had a body like Bruce Lee. He was a rough and tumble kind of guy, a man's man. Lots of fun for the kids. He would teach kids how to ride bikes. He was so much fun. Everyone knew him as Uncle Tony. But yeah, so he had cancer, and I remember them calling us in. So I called. I think at the time I was at Violator. I was working doing the bookings at Violator with Mike Lighty. And I remember that I called my parents to say happy anniversary to them. And this had to be this was April. And when I called, my mom tells me, your dad, he's not here. He went to the hospital. I was like, what do you mean? She said, yeah, they admitted him. I said, what do you mean they admitted him? I don't, just call him. I called him. He's like, yeah, they admitted me. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, you okay? He's like, yeah, I guess, they just want to run some tests on me. So I was like, okay. And then, so that was the anniversary. And then 3 days later, I remember we were told to go to the hospital. So 3 days later, we went to the hospital, and he was sitting in a chair, and the doctor came in with some scans, and it showed a big tumor, near his lung. And, when they told the stage it was in, he just looked so, his whole Superman spirit just looked so just defeated, and I remember that I looked at him, and, I reject information like that, because I've just always been that type of person. I'm always very solution oriented. I'm always okay, something's wrong. How do we fix it? I never take in that information ever, because to me, I look at these doctors as, these are people who are studious. The doctor was, maybe a little older than I am. And the only thing that he did differently from me was just he went to medical school. He studied, right? So I was like, okay, I know he's a good studier. He remembers things really well, but don't listen to him. He's not God. So that kind of put me on a mission to looking into information. And yeah, it took me on a whole journey that I didn't expect to be kind of just to have to be even involved in. So that was the start of my journey, even though I myself wasn't personally on that journey, it started opening my mind. So the next stage would be Dr. Sadie. So I'm going to share that next. All right, y'all. Peace out.